Welcome back, Geordies. It's Adam from Two for Joy. And if I'm honest, I'm not sure if this is streaming or not. Here we go. So to start off, I should have picked a better game to start my live stream on. Taking a pasting from Barcelona in that second half is it's not the one to do your first live stream, I'll be honest. But I have to say that performance in the first half, it's the hope that kills you. It is the hope that kills you. And funnily enough, when I was driving home from work today, I saw like 15 magpies on the drive home. The most magpies I've ever seen driving home from work. And now I know that means you're going to take a pasting from Barcelona. But the starting lineup is kind of what I expected from Eddie Howe. I fully expected to see Sandro Tonali back in the lineup, Joel Linton back in the midfield, Anthony Gordon and Alanga. I expected him to play Alanga. I thought we'd try and be fast in at the back, play the counter-attack. Dan Burn coming back in at centre-back. And the way we started this game was so positive. It was so positive. And we looked the better team. For the first 20 minutes, we looked the better team. But 7 minutes in, or 5 minutes in, sorry, Rafinha with a finish in the bottom left-hand corner. And it's such an unfortunate slip from Lewis Hall. And he totally made up for it. It was incredible. Short 1-2 down the left-hand side. He puts that ball in so early. It's such a fantastic cross. And Alanga pops up at the back stick to get his first Champions League goal. And as the game went on, free kick given away by Joel Linton, yellow card given to Joel Linton for his first shirt pull. And I'll talk about the refereeing later. We'll go through the game first. But as that free kick gets played in, Dan Burn just drops ever so slightly too early, plays the Barcelona players onside, and that header back across goal just leaves us wide open to go 2-1 down. And at that point, I was thinking, here we go. This is where it will turn. But sure enough, Lewis Hall again, winning the ball back from Lamine Yamal and playing in Harvey Barnes, who puts a great cross across that 6-yard box. And once again, Anthony Alanga at the back post to square it 2-2. And then come the decisions that change games. And I don't want to make this about the refereeing because Barcelona were a better side tonight and the pedigree shone through in the end and they fully deserve their win. I mean, 7-2, it's an absolute pasting. But we have 38 minutes a pull on Anthony Alanga, and I've seen 3 of these in the Champions League being given as penalties. And when the referee stops and waits for the VAR to check this, there's no checking penalty put up on the screen. There's nothing. He's literally just getting fed into his earpiece. They have a quick look at it, decide it's not a penalty, and away we go. And then, obviously, Kieran Trippier, 45 minutes plus 3, grabs Rafinha and starts to pull him back. And I mean, I know if you watch it back in slow motion, like they play it back, it looks like he holds on to him for ages. But actually, in the live feed, you're talking a second, 2 seconds. And the way that Rafinha throws himself to the floor, they're going to give it all day long. And I felt this was a game just of fine margins and the decisions didn't go our way. And the Nou Camp is such a big pitch. It's such a big venue. I felt like partly the occasion played us when it came in half-time, going 1-goal down just before half-time. And I think heads dropped. I think we ended up in a position where, realistically, you'd hope we come out and start that second half as well as we did the first. But we don't. And Newcastle, in true Newcastle fashion, sluggish in that second half to start. And realistically, as soon as that fourth goal goes in and we're 4-2 down, that's game over. Heads drop. Players lose the will. They lose the belief. But I felt like we gave it a real good go. And going to the Nou Camp, any team can go to the Nou Camp and get drummed. It's the reason Barcelona are top of the table in Spain. I thought it was a valiant display. I don't think we should really be disappointed. I mean, ideally, you don't want it to be a drumming 7-2, but with the players we've got injured, with the makeshift defence, with the kind of Sandro Tonali going off, and then you'd have no defensive cover in that midfield, and every player's kind of pushed around into positions. It was always going to be difficult for us to hold on for a full 90 with the team we had out there. But I have to say, I thought tonight, to be honest, I say Aaron Ramsdale was really unlucky. It sounds silly conceding 7 goals, but I don't think there's a single goal out there that's his fault, and he was so close to saving the penalty. I really hope he doesn't get dropped for the derby at the weekend. That's kind of imperative from my point of view, that we carry on. Even losing games like this, you have to stick with him. I don't want to see Nick Pope back in goal for a Champions League blunder. And really, his performance wasn't bad. I thought Sandro Tonali, up until the injury, Sandro looked absolutely fantastic tonight. He was one of the key reasons we really stayed in the game, and he bossed that midfield. But the star of the show, again, I have to say it, Kieran Trippier did an interview before the game, obviously, and in Kieran Trippier's interview, he dodged a question from, I believe, the Geordie Journos about whether he wanted to stay another season, whether he'd be open to staying for contract talks, and what he believed he could give for Newcastle. And obviously he's dodged that question. I think he'll be away in the summer. And the big worry is that Tino Livramento will go to Man City. But I have to be honest, Lewis Hall, we should be really worried about losing Lewis Hall, because he looks every ounce an elite world-class player. And to be honest, I think Lewis Hall tonight, I thought, probably looked like one of the best players on the pitch. And especially, everybody raves about him, Lamine Yamal. He's a fantastic talent. He's a fantastic young kid. But honestly, Lewis Hall kept Lamine Yamal quiet for 90% of that game. And when Lamine Yamal was getting frustrated and couldn't get anything down that right-hand side, he was coming inside. He was swapping over to the left-hand side. He was looking for every bit of room to get away from Lewis Hall. And it just speaks volumes to how good Lewis Hall is. Speaks volumes to what a fantastic young talent he is. And my big thing with Lewis Hall is we desperately need to tie him down and put him on a big salary. I look at the players we've got through the team that are worth money, and he is every ounce at the top level of our team. And this is why I say I don't think there's much shame in losing to Barcelona. And that 7-2 is obviously a drumming, but realistically, when you look through that Barcelona squad, it is a star-studded squad. Absolutely star-studded squad. And there's probably 8 players on that pitch tonight that people would consider to be world-class. And I'd probably say in the Newcastle team, at best, there's 2. Lewis Hall for definite, and Sandro Tonali tonight, I thought he looked fantastic. He looked like he wouldn't be out of place in a Barcelona or Real Madrid. And we all know how good a talent he is. But touching on the refereeing, Francois Letexier was the referee tonight, and he has refereed some extremely high-profile games. And I've made notes of these because part of me wants to go back and do a video just to show the inconsistency when you play against huge Champions League teams, the inconsistency in decisions. And in the first minute, Garcia, a shirt pull on Anthony Gordon that brings him to the ground 20 yards out, no yellow card. The first foul that Joel Linton makes on the 16th minute, a shirt pull, exactly the same as Garcia, yellow card for Joel Linton. Kieran Trippier puts the ball down to play a quick free kick, and João Cancelo runs straight into him, thigh to the head. It's such a cynical way of stopping the game. And again, the referee, it's just a talking to, brings the players together. And then Fermin Gonzalez rugby tackling Joel Linton to the ground on the 33-minute mark. And I have no idea how Newcastle breaking forward like that, Joel Linton being dragged to the ground like that, again, no yellow card. And as the game goes on, there's like 4 of these where it's shirt pulls from Barcelona, no yellow. Joe Willock, shirt pull, straight yellow card. He's only been on the pitch 5 minutes. And realistically, I don't want the games to be about the ref. I want Newcastle to lose. If we lose to somebody because they're better than us, like we did tonight, we lost because Barcelona have the pedigree, the squad depth. They've been there before. They're playing at home. They were every ounce worth the win. But those decisions where the big teams get the rub of the green, give them the edge. Had we have gone in at half-time 2-2, I think it would have been a completely different complexion coming into that second half. And it's all if, buts and maybes. But when I look through the biggest teams we've played in the Champions League, Paris Saint-Germain, played Paris Saint-Germain twice. 2 penalties given against us for cynical handballs. And they've cost us. Those games cost us. 2 games against Barcelona. 2 penalty calls, 2 penalties for Barcelona. And they are the finest of margins. Like I say, if you look at that, if you want to give the pull on Rafinha, in my opinion, you have to give the pull on Anthony Elanga. And while it's only a hand on a shoulder, he's in the penalty area. It's enough to bring him to the ground. Cancelo had no chance of winning the ball. They're just funny decisions that make finite chances and leave Barcelona in a position to be stronger than we are, in the same way that PSG were. And basically, over the 2 legs, Barcelona have had 2 penalty shouts and 2 penalties given. Newcastle had 3 penalty shouts and no penalties given. So it's it's a difficult one to take. It really is. And I won't keep this too long, but realistically, the furthest we've ever been in the Champions League, I think we should be proud. I think the players should be proud of the performance they put in the first leg at home, in the first half of this second leg. And realistically, some of those tiny decisions, had they gone in our favour rather than in the favour of the biggest clubs in the world, this game could be completely different. But the second half, like I say, when that 4th goal goes in, it's just that the heads drop, the belief goes, Newcastle realise they're done. And then when you get the 5th, and then the 6th, and then the 7th, and it's just, by that point, it's just shut it down. Realistically, save and rest players for the derby. We had a good run. We've seen some good football in the Champions League. We've come up against a top team with a fantastic squad, with a great manager, very tactically astute, on a massive pitch where it suits their style of play and their technical ability, and we just weren't good enough on the day. And I don't think there's any shame in that. We got to the same stage as Chelsea, as Man City, as Tottenham will do when they finish their game against Atletico tonight. And realistically, I fully expect there only to be 2 English teams left in the Champions League after this round. It shows you the elite level we get to. This squad doesn't have the depth or the ability or this is experience. This is experience for us to learn from, to take away from, and to come back stronger. And realistically, I really hope that we can push on in the Premier League, because if we can carry form and play like we did tonight, we have every chance of winning 9 out of 10 games. And it's just finding that consistency, and we've really lacked that consistency this season. And obviously the injuries have been a big issue, and I don't quite know how you fix this, because some of it stands out to me as I'm not really sure whether the injury crisis we had 2 seasons ago when we started in the Champions League and the injury crisis we're having now has actually been fixed. And like I say, let me know in the chat or in the comments. But the tough thing is seeing Nick Voltemade being played in midfield in the Premier League. And I totally disagree with this, and I don't think Nick Voltemade is a midfielder, and I don't think he has the ability or the strength to play that role. But one of you guys sent me a message in the comments and said, if you look at Nick Voltemade, he actually came into the squad when we had injuries to the midfield, and he'd had like a 3-day turnaround to learn to play as a number 8. And everybody thought we were playing Nick Voltemade as a number 10 because that's what we wanted and that's what we'd like Eddie to do. But he's actually playing that same system, just with Nick Voltemade in the middle. But when you look over time, the only reason Nick Voltemade has played there is because we've had Bruno injured, or Sandro injured, or Joel Linton injured, and we've never, or Lewis Miley injured. We've never actually had a fully fit midfield 3, and Nick Voltemade has started in that central midfield position. So there's a part of me that really hopes that Eddie Howe can get something more out of him as the season goes on, or even into the summer and the start of next year. But Lewis Miley's injury and certain players, these reoccurring injuries or being out for longer periods of time. And I genuinely think most of the time we're not being told the true story about what's going on, and we're not being told realistically the reason for this many injuries and this many problems. And it's one of the reasons that I kind of think this season has gone how it has, because I do believe that there are times that Eddie Howe has probably put players in who aren't 100%, who are nursing an injury or who are carrying a knock. And we've overplayed players and left ourselves in a position where this squad's become weaker and weaker and weaker. And like I say, going into the Tyne-Wear derby at the weekend, they need to start how they started against Barcelona. Both games, they need to be up for it. They need to really show that they've got the desire to push on and close this gap on European football. We have an opportunity now. And I would say we have, in the last 3, possibly 4 games, we have played the best football I have seen from us all season. And there's a bit of me that really thinks we can do something at the end of this season. Now it's split. We're back to 1 game a week now. This run to the end of the season, there will be training sessions, there will be rest periods, there will be players coming back. This is the perfect opportunity for us to really kick on and make something this season. It's one of those things. It's a really tough position to be in. But like I say, I'm going to be at the game against Bournemouth in a couple of weeks. If any of you see me, be sure to come over, say hello. Let's get a beer, talk football. Honestly, it's It's going to be a fine run into the end of the season, and I'm not going to keep this one long. I'm not knocking off short, but I have to say, as much of a drumming as it was tonight, I didn't actually think the performance was that bad. And hopefully, if we can carry this performance forward, it will help us come the end of the season push on into a position where we might be able to retain some of the players we've got. So, either way, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for getting involved. Like I say, like and subscribe. I hopefully will be doing a live chat for the end of the Sunderland game, so be sure to tune in, get involved, and